Truth Frequency Radio Network. KTFRN. Worldwide.
Hola, this is Sienna inviting you to join me tonight as we navigate through the seen and the unseen, explore external and internal realities, expose on-world and off-world agendas, discover a path to joy and freedom. Now, join me as we illuminate the Shadowland and reclaim our birthright as free and sovereign beings.
Good evening, beautiful people. This is Sienna, and you are here on Truth Frequency Radio Network at Illuminating the Shadowland. I am so excited and honored to have as my guest for a part two, Max Igan. Good evening, Max.
Sienna, nice to be back, darling.
Yeah. This time I would really like to dive into your wisdom around how we've let it get to this place. The mechanisms, the seductions, the mind control, what we're under as a humanity that allows us to allow atrocities like what's happening, which we talked about last week, in Palestine to continue unabated and with very, very little outcry from the world. You talk a lot about the fantasy world that we're living in, and I'd like to break it down a little bit in this show, Max. I'm just going to throw some words out there and just let this evolve. Money, Max. What's money?
Oh, look, yeah, money's huge, isn't it? It's interesting. It's a really, really interesting thing, money, because it's. I mean, I refer to it as a psychic pathogen. It's something about it. I mean, you can get a tribal culture that has never used money and gets on fine with its life, but then you superimpose money over people's mentality and you get them to pass pieces of metal to each other or pieces of paper to each other, and suddenly they don't know how to live without money. You know what I mean? It's incredible. Even when I can look at this stuff, and I realize it's a talisman for control. It's what controls our lives. We can't do anything without this stuff, and yet it's fiction. Someone made it up. It doesn't have any inherent value. The world has value. The abundance of the earth around us has value. We have value, but this stuff doesn't. But it creates a barrier between us and the abundance of the earth around us. And even I find it difficult to imagine what life would be like without money, even though I know it shouldn't be there. So it's a really, really interesting thing. It's a really interesting tool that's been used against us. And it's the glue, the catalyst, the glue that holds the whole control grid together. I think people becoming aware of it is one of the most important things. I mean, at the moment, money could work because we have a society. There's nothing inherently wrong with money itself. But because we have money which is interest-based, which means that we are permanently in debt and we're forced to pay to be alive, that is where it becomes rather insidious. This is where it comes into the whole ownership thing. You believe you can own part of the earth, and so you work hard to buy this little piece where you can stay. It really just owns you because you can't leave them. You own this piece of the earth, so you can't go anywhere else. And you don't really own it because you continue to pay for it. Rates, all of this sort of stuff. So money it's an incredible tool. It's the glue that holds the matrix together. And it's one of the most interesting things to consider, what it's done to human consciousness, and to figure out what the way away from it would be. It's an interesting one. It's a really, really interesting one. I don't know how quite to escape from the whole money system, even though I know it's fiction. That's an interesting program, I think.
Well, you talk a lot about the fact that we think we own the earth. Can you speak to that a bit for us?
Well,
do we own the earth, Matt?
No, we don't. Of course we don't. I think ownership is a fraud. It's really a fraud. I mean, you don't own anything. You don't even really own your body. It's just on loan. You're custodian of your body. Nobody else owns your body either. but you don't own it. It's just a vehicle that you're using to experience reality. And with this vehicle, rather than experiencing ourselves, we tend to start trying to collect all of this stuff around us, and we use this to judge ourselves by what we are, who we are. We judge ourselves by what we own, which again is a program. It's a program that's been put in place for somebody else. But you can't own the Earth. The Earth's been here for 4.6 billion years. You're here for 50 or 100 with a good innings, maybe even 110. You don't own the Earth. The Earth owns you. It's like all your possessions, all your objects, your mobile phone. You might think that you own it. But if you won't go out or do anything because you're scared or someone's going to steal your mobile phone, then the mobile phone owns you. It's the same with your house. You get all this stuff and these possessions around you, and you think you own it all, but then you're too scared to leave your house because you're scared someone will steal all your stuff, or you've got to employ someone to come and look after your stuff or guard it for you while you're away. The stuff owns you, and it's just stuff. It's not you. But we judge ourselves by our stuff. It's a really interesting thing. We judge ourselves by our stuff. We judge other people by their stuff. And we respect people who've got more stuff than us. And we sort of place ourselves above people who've got less stuff than us. It's this social pathological thinking that we have. It's what I call the social pathogen. Because we're always working our whole life to attain these different rungs on this social ladder, which is essentially fiction. And it all leads us away from ourselves. So I think the biggest problem we've got is we've lost contact with ourselves through this whole thing. The whole civilization that we got, I really don't understand how this civilization, with all of its rules and building codes and all of the rubbish that put us through, I don't see how it serves anybody. I don't see how it serves us. I don't see how it serves anybody at all. It certainly doesn't nurture the human creative experience. And I think that's what we're here to do. We're here to create. We're here to experience ourselves to the best of our potential and to be all that we can be and to create the way we want to create. I think that's the most important thing. We've missed out on that. We're sort of locked into this idea where it's all about stuff. It's all about stuff that's external to ourselves. It's how we judge ourselves. It's how we judge other people. We miss out on ourselves. I think that's the biggest problem that we've got. So even what I was saying on last week's show when I said that all the problems come from the government, it's because we're a disunited society. We judge ourselves poorly by other people's parameters. Again, it's because we've lost contact with ourselves. So ultimately, it always comes back to that. All the problems of the wars and the starvation, deforestation, and the government corruption and everything, it all comes back to the loss of self. It ultimately does. That's why the focus of most of my shows has been on helping people rediscover themselves. I think that's the solution. It absolutely is.
You had spent some time in Peru, and could you share with us a bit about that and the journey of what it takes to rediscover yourself and come out of this trance state that we are all constantly being put within?
Well,
you talked about the people. Yeah.
Well, the trip to Peru, I went there recently to gather footage to make a new film, which I'm working on at the moment. I did that in Peru because I wanted to get footage of the Amazon, and I believe a lot of people can identify with the Amazon. If you're doing a film about the Earth, you need to include things like the Amazon. And that was the main focus of the film, is the situation that's unfolding in the Amazon, the destruction of large areas of Amazon jungle for palm oil plantations and things like this. So that was the focus of the film. I mean, the journey of rediscovering of the self is a journey that it's difficult to explain. It's a remembering, really. I mean, we're all on this journey with everything that we do. I think that's the purpose of us being here. A lot of it is to discover ourselves to our fullest of our potential. To discover all about ourselves and to share that experience with the field, to share that experience with the world, with everything. I think we're part of everything. I think that the information that we gather here is important for what comes after. I think that's something that's been taken from us as well. I mean, I think we have a lot of higher senses, and a lot of what this journey is about is learning how to use these senses, learning how to communicate properly with reality. And I think that we're missing out on that. So I mean, my journey of discovery has taken me a lifetime. It really has. Journey of rediscovery, a journey of remembering, really, because that's what it is. But perhaps what you're referring to is ceremonial practices that happen in Peru, which happen in a lot of South American countries, like with entheogenic plants such as ayahuasca or the cactus, San Pedro cactus, and things like this. These are particularly interesting experiences that people can have, which is kind of like a crash course to show you that that other reality does exist. There is a spirit world. There are things that happen outside of visible light. You do have higher senses that can come online. But essentially, such experiences, I believe, serve best to alert you to the fact that you do have these abilities. I think it's now up to you to be able to achieve access to these realms and access to these high senses through your own mechanisms without the use of entheogenic plants, because we all have the ability to do this. I think that's an important part about it. But the rediscovery of self, I mean, this is everything. This is everything. This is how to solve all the problems that we've got. This is why I focus on it so much on all of my shows, because that's the key. That's the key to the whole thing, because all of the problems that we have are due to a loss of self, a loss of knowledge of ourselves. You know, a lot of this has been disguised and hidden by people. It's been hijacked. You know, the New Age movement's got hold of it and turned it into this ball of spiritual narcissism that a lot of people get locked into. You know, and that they fail to act. They gain a certain amount of spiritual understanding, then they get led down a blind alley, and they lock themselves in a little bubble of spiritual narcissism and refuse to look at any of the dark stuff and look at any of the shadows in the world, and thereby it's allowed to continue, because it could be healed if people were to turn and face these things. So, I mean, it's a big journey. It's an interesting question to ask, because it's a long journey, the rediscovery of self. And that's what it is. I think it's important to emphasize that. It isn't even a discovery of self. It's a rediscovery. It's a remembering. Because a lot of the stuff that I've even brought in the shows, when people write to me and say, you say this stuff, and when it clicks, it's like I already knew it. And I say, well, it's because you did. I'm just there to help you remember these things about yourself. You know, I was never locked into the matrix. I was awake for my whole life. And so I could see this. And honestly, it's a pleasure to see other people waking up now. It's a pleasure to see so many people getting it now and realizing how reality works and how we change things. But like I said, a lot of it's been hijacked by the New Age movement. People believe if they lock themselves in an energetic state of love and light, they're going to change the world. They don't realize they have to apply it to the world in order to change the world. You know, you're in a physical 3D reality for a reason, folks, and it's because you have to participate. You know, we can change the world in a day if we all choose to participate. I really think we can.
I really respect you for that message, and it feels like there are very few, I could probably count them on my hand, men that have such incredible dedication and clarity, but are also in our face right now, showing us our shadows, showing us the places where we're completely locked into an artificial construct, addicted to fluoride. What about fluoride, Max? What is fluoride doing to us at the moment?
Well, fluoride is a neurotoxin. Essentially, that's its most active function. That's why it's in the water supply. It prevents people from thinking clearly. It locks your pineal gland down. It locks you out of your higher senses. You've got higher senses, but you're only experiencing about 5 senses at the moment. And it's shut down your pineal gland, so you don't have access to your higher realms. It calcifies it at a very early age. And it's a neurotoxin, makes you docile, just so people can't think very clearly. Fluoride experiments were first conducted in the gulags. Stalin used them in the gulags. And Stalin found that he was able to lower his guards by a factor of 3. Like if he had 4 guards, he could knock off 3 of them and just have 1. So if he had 100 guards on a prison, he could knock that down to 25 by putting fluoride in the water. Because the prisoners never got really organised, they couldn't really think too clearly, even if they didn't like being in prison. They just couldn't get organised and formulate plans of escape, and they just step away from their own power and become docile. And so that's what fluoride's in the water for. Actually, it was recently catalogued and named by Lancet, which is the world's leading peer-reviewed medical journal, as just classified fluoride as neurotoxin, which is something that we've been telling people for the last 20 years. but now it's official. Fluoride is a neurotoxin, and it should not be in anybody's water supply. It's one of the most effective mechanisms that they've used since World War II. They've gone out and put this all over the world, any places that they could anyway, and it's been very effective at helping create this police state that we're now facing, you know. I think it's important. I mean, people are waking up to it. People can see it. And there is a lot of people that are bringing you a lot of fear about this stuff, and there is certainly a lot to be fearful of. But again, it's an opportunity. It's now in your face. And if we choose to put down these fictional barriers that we have with our neighbours, which have been given to us by somebody else and programmed into us because these are just people the same as you, then we can change the world in a day. I mean, all these politicians, they're just public trustees. That's all they are. They don't really mean anything. They're just people that we employ to look after our infrastructure for us. And they've got us running in fear of all these rules they write on pieces of paper. And they get away with what they're doing because we live in divided communities. I mean, I've done so much talk on the shows where I've talked about the body computer, what it really is, and how you're downloading a frequency from the field, how we're all connected to everything, and how we are all completely unique in ourselves and completely perfect in ourselves, because no one can be you better than you. You know, I've done so many lectures where I've talked about this, and when people really discover this basic fact about themselves, then suddenly they start to see themselves differently, they start to view other people differently, and all the barriers break down. And all we have to do is put this stuff down. Stop judging each other. Stop measuring each other according to social and economic pathogens or religious pathogens that we use to judge each other. We've got to stop doing this. It's all been someone else's idea that's been given to us. And once we choose to put it down and see it as a distraction that it is, we can stand together and change the world in a day. Because the system that is controlling us is essentially just an idea. It's somebody else's idea. It's the idea that authority is real. It's the idea that you actually have rulers when you don't. You're the same as everybody else. No one has jurisdiction over you any more than you have jurisdiction over anybody else. And once we can view things this way, the world will change. We can change it by default. We can do it in a day. And that's why I believe it's important. I think that discovery of yourself is the most important one you can have. You know, the moment where you discover that you are quite literally the same as everybody else and you are absolutely perfect in what you are, and you should stop judging yourself by other parameters. You know, you're not here to experience the world from someone else's parameters and someone else's idea. You're here to experience you. You're here to experience and be the artistic expression of creation that you are. And all of these ideas that are given to you by someone else, that is the matrix. It's a fictional matrix. It's an idea. It's an energetic life form that we all are all sucked into believing we've got to measure ourselves according to parameters that are given to us by somebody else. And it's all fiction. And, you know, it's all coming undone. It really is. And people are seeing through it. That's what this time is. That's what this time in history is. I think it's a huge opportunity. It'll be time to be alive, really. Because I don't think they're going to be able to lock us down. I mean, what they do, they try these world wars, they try all this stuff. It's not going to work. You know, ultimately, we will come through as the shining lights that we are. I really, really believe this. But we've got to participate in this. So even saying that, I get worried when I say that because people say, oh, thank God, we are going to come through. I don't have to do anything. Well, no, you do. You've got to participate. That's the thing, you know. But if we all lead by example in what we do and we all act as shining lights in our own community, then it becomes infectious. You know, you shine the light and other people start reflecting that light. And then it builds and it builds and suddenly the whole community is working together. And I think that's where we're heading.
Absolutely. You're not talking about violent revolution. Are you talking about civil disobedience? What are you seeing in terms of the action-based rate? If there are huge injustices in your community, if you're seeing GMOs come into your neighborhood, if you're looking up at the sky and watching chemtrails, and you're aware of the weather wars that are affecting us, and all these levels of things, what can you do that is not violent, that does no harm, that follows natural law, that is going to be the kinds of actions that you're talking about from awakened people? How are you seeing that unfolding?
Well, it's got to be grassroots action that awakens the people, you know. So with the Full Circle project, I want to have things whereby we're having tree planting initiatives and all sorts of stuff to bring the community together, and having political figures come along to the. Let's say you go to a community and you start a tree planting initiative. The local mayor and the local council, they're going to want to come and be involved and big note themselves. So we can get them on stage and kind of hijack them a bit and start talking to them about trust law and what their position in society is and all this sort of stuff. Start alerting people to the fact that local councils don't actually have any authority over them and all this sort of stuff. We can start creating ripples. But the thing is, any action that we take, doesn't matter what it is, it's got to have the power of community behind it. We need the strength of numbers in order to bring about any change. You know, I mean, I can take action. I could go head to head with the local Attorney General, Jared Blade, take legal action against him, try to get him in breach of trust and put in jail or whatever for this Blade legislation. Ultimately, it will bring a bit of attention to it, but it may take years to do that, to go through certain court cases, and fighting against one man is ridiculous. It's not going to get anywhere. You know, if I can empower my community into knowing who and what they are, then they can see that this whole thing's fiction and step above it. You know, to me, that's the only solution. I can't see that any violent revolution will help anything. I mean, sure, it might get to the stage where these people are just coming down on the community so heavily that people are forced to fight back. And in such a situation, hey, yeah, you should fight back. You should always protect yourself. Don't take a backward step to these people. But I still think there's a better way. I still believe with the power of community, the strength of numbers, we can step above the whole thing, because the whole system that we're locked into is fiction. It's a meme. It's just an idea, you know. But I'll do what I can. I won't take a backward step, and I won't let people walk over me. I will always defend myself. I'm not a pacifist by any means, but I don't think that violence will achieve anything. All we'll do will be tear down one parent and put up a new one. And I don't think that's a good idea at all. You know?
No, the oppressed often become more cruel than the oppressors. Every revolution has showed us that through history. So repeating. That's why we have to study true history, because it's all there for us to learn from, definitely. And, yeah.
Well, it is. I mean, a lot of people have said to me as well, you know, I should run for office or run for Prime Minister or run for a political party, but I honestly can't see the way to beat the system through a political means either. I think the political whole system has been constructed to make you play by its rules. And I'm really not prepared to play by its rules. You know, I think the whole thing is fiction. There's a thing I've been talking about lately called sui generis, which is a legal term which explains that you are completely unique. There's only one of you. Therefore, you have no peers. Therefore, you are not subject to the laws of your peers. Therefore, you cannot be under the jurisdiction of anybody else. And if you have done no harm in your actions and you know what right and wrong is, and you are a person of integrity, then there is no reason why anybody else should be seeking to have jurisdiction over you. And I've found that it works. I know people that have used this in certain situations in Europe and in situations here, where they've basically been approached by the system, and if it's ever gone to court, they've basically named themselves as being sui generis and said that they're not able to continue in this courtroom until this matter is cleared up, because I am sui generis. Until you can show me that I'm not sui generis, I'm unable to move forward. And the court cannot show anybody that they are not sui generis, because that's what everybody is. And if you are a completely unique expression of creation, then the only jurisdiction you are under is that of yourself and your creator. And if there has been no harm in your actions, then anything apart from that, anything they're trying to force on you, is obviously part of the slavery system. So you can usually take them down the path of prosecution by using their own laws for slavery, because they're attempting to control you, and you are sui generis being the same as everybody else. But because you know this, you don't want to take the court on, you don't want to take the prosecutor on, you don't want to bring harm to the police officer who arrested you, because you have no jurisdiction over him any more than he has jurisdiction over you. He said he didn't know. He was trained to believe that this fictional system is real, and so he did what he thought was right. You don't hold it against him, but now you've just informed him and everybody else that this is the actual situation. You are sui generis, and so are all of they. So unless they can show otherwise, you'll be on your way. You know, and that's the very empowering. That's a very, very empowering concept, and it's a legal term. SUIGENIRIS. Go and look it up, and if you're listening to the show, that's who and what you are. And if there is no harm in any of your actions, then there is no reason why anybody should be attempting to exercise any right of ownership over you, regardless of any legislation that's been put in place by anybody. Because you have no peers, so you're not subject to any of that stuff.
Beautiful. We're going to go to break here in just a minute and a half. Your website, how do people get in touch with you? How do people support you? I understand that you're involved in many different projects, and they are all based on a donation, that you do not solicit funds. You're just doing the good work. And so how do people get in touch with you, Max?
Well, you can go to crowhouse.com. There's a link there people can contribute to. It's very difficult at the moment. PayPal keeps closing me down. They don't like me collecting any money, so it's kind of difficult at the moment. I'm trying to work out a thing whereby people can use credit cards. But anyway, there's links there on the Crowhouse. There's links there on fullcirclenow.net where people can contribute to the foundation for the Amazon buyback scheme and for the workshops and initiatives. So there's a lot of links there.
Beautiful. We're going to break right now. We'll be back for the second half of part 2 with Max Igan, Breaking the Trance. Welcome back, everyone. This is Sienna Leah at Illuminating the Shadowland, and I am delighted to have with me Max Igan, a man that I admire very much because he speaks the truth to power. He is awakening us, and he's not screaming at us. Max, you're one of the few men who is speaking the truth that is not screaming at us. I'm very grateful for that. You remain calm, and you have
a lot of people tend to scream. There's a lot to scream about, but I don't think it helps. So I try to remain calm.
Sui generis. We left off with sui generis. Is this another word for sovereign? Are they parallel?
It's beyond sovereign. It's beyond sovereign. And if you look at what sovereign means, it's beyond that. It's really the highest harmonic in the legal world. To know that you are completely unique. You are one of a kind. You know, therefore, how can you be judged by anybody else other than your creator? It's a very empowering thing. And so, I mean, everybody's sovereign in their own right, if you really want to look at it that way. But people tend to associate sovereignty with the nation or the country that they live in. You know, we are sovereign to this nation. I'm a sovereign Australian, or I'm a sovereign this, a sovereign that. I'm beyond all of that. I'm still generous. I'm completely unique wherever I happen to be. And I'm answerable only to my creator. And integrity has no need for rules. And I operate in integrity in all that I do. Maybe I didn't once. Maybe I made mistakes the way other people did. But maybe I've been the same as everybody for part of my life. But it doesn't matter what anybody did. It matters what we do from this point forward. Therefore, I don't judge anybody by what they did. I think people have done what they've done because they've been disconnected. Nobody has been given an even playing field with which to operate on. So it's very difficult to judge people by their actions. Even corrupt police officers that support this system. Even some of the people that are carrying out these incredible acts of atrocities in armies around the world and soldiers and all sorts of things, and no matter who they belong to. You know, there's criminals on all sides of all conflicts. There's atrocities that are done on all sides of all conflicts, regardless of who's right or who's wrong, who started the conflict. And I don't blame any of these people for any of their actions, because none of them were given an even playing field. Now they can rediscover themselves. Now they can find that they are sui generis. They are completely unique. They are not answerable to anybody else, and nobody else is answerable to them. And that's the way we can readjust our thinking. And if we do this, I think we can change the world. We really can. But that's how to deal with the legal system. You know, if you're caught up with this legal system and you've done nothing wrong, there's no harm been done by your actions. You haven't hurt anybody or stolen from anybody or hit anybody with your car or done damage to anybody. You're just being accosted by legislation. Well, you should establish yourself as being sui generis and get the court or whoever is arresting you to explain to you why they believe they have jurisdiction over you if you are sui generis. And don't argue with them, just explain to them that you are sui generis. If they can claim that you're not, please to provide you with proof of claim before you can move forward. If they're unable to do so, if they're unable to provide you with proof of claim that you are sui generis and they continue to move forward, then you intend to take action against them using their own legal system for slavery, because slavery is illegal in every country on earth. And this is a way to circumvent their system, is checkmate. They got nowhere to go from there, because everybody is sui generis. There's no way to deny this fact. And because the term exists within their legal system, ultimately that's your silver bullet to get through any situation. But if you don't know who you are, and you don't know the beauty and the power of yourself, and you don't know what it is to be sui generis in your heart, then it probably won't work, because you'll get drawn into argument, you'll get drawn into one of their rabbit holes, you'll give them jurisdiction, and it'll be all over. So, again, it comes back to your heart. It comes back to you changing your perspective of what you are, knowing yourself, rediscovering yourself, rediscovering the power of yourself, realizing that we're all in this together. There is nobody any better or any worse than anybody else. And don't talk to the uniform or the office of these people. Simply talk to the flesh and blood human being inside the shell, you know, and approach things from that perspective. I think that's the way through the system. That's why I stress it so much. I mentioned it in my talks, and I've mentioned it on the show quite a bit, because I think it's a very, very empowering understanding. Once you really realize this about yourself, there's the way out. That's the light at the end of the tunnel. And I mean, even this knowledge, it wouldn't have come about if the people, the controllers or the powers that believe they be, if these people hadn't made things so negative and pushed us to the wall so hard, this type of information would not now be coming out. The light at the end of the tunnel would not be available. It would still be in the tunnel the way it had been for the last hundreds and thousands of years, you know. So I think all of it has led to this moment. I think it's all an opportunity. It's a gift. It really is. That the harder they make things, it's a gift. Even this incursion into Ukraine to show the world just how much they're pushing for World War III, it's a gift. They're exposing themselves. They're getting sloppy. They're trying everything they can. Their Arab terrorist concept isn't working anymore. The Arab hijackers aren't working anymore. Even tried to play the Iran card with the Malaysian Airlines, trying to say it was a couple of Iranian guys that hijacked the plane. I mean, come on, give me a break. It's just getting old, you know. And people are seeing this now. So they're trying everything, and they're stumbling, and they're exposing themselves by their own actions. So, yeah, once people realise that they are sui generis and they are unique, well, we're going to be able to step above the whole thing. I think the time's getting closer and closer. As long as people are prepared to act, and they're not going to be prepared to act unless they know the community's with them. So that's why I always come back to this, empowering your community, breaking down the barriers with your neighbours, so that when you do stand up, everybody stands up with you, and we all stand up together, you know?
Absolutely. I'm starting a project simultaneous with yours called RiseMultiversity.org, and it's going to be an international oasis and gathering spot, and I'm hoping that we get you somehow on there as well, because there are many people who are waking up, and they are in very isolated pockets around the world. And to break down the fear that has been programmed into us through all of these various manipulations, and start to be able to trust and drop the false self and become transparent and open the heart there's a bit of a training and a process, and it takes a community to allow that to happen. So it's very much in the foremost in my heart and in my actions, because I think it has to go simultaneously, exactly as you're saying, that we do the inner work, but it doesn't end there with endless, narcissistic, making ourselves feel better or thinking we're ascending out of here, but rather to gather the strength in the core of our being and to unite and see that we are all one, although very unique and very individual, and then to come together in small groups and start brainstorming and start thinking about ways that we can support and help and break through suffering and stand, because it does seem that as you said, for thousands and thousands of years, it's brought us right to this point, right to this moment. And even all of these dark forces, you're right, in a way they've been our greatest teachers to bring us to this place where we say, wait a minute, I am no longer a slave. And it is such an exciting moment. And everybody that can give 110% of themselves to empowering themselves in that way is just right on the evolutionary cusp of this wave. And you are certainly one of the people that is a way shower in this, because you seem to be in an energy that isn't reactive and isn't aggressive, and yet you're so bold and so clear and articulate, just stating things as they are. And I think that this is an incredible role model for us. That's why I wanted you on the show, because not that many people can pull that off, actually. I'm not trying to toot your horn or anything. I'm just saying that I appreciate the example that you're leading by, because this is what we all need. We need to come from a place of neutrality, very heart-based, very clear, very understanding, but we need to remain calm to make this happen. And this is certainly exactly what they are trying to make not happen. I mean, my goodness, they are creating quite a row out there these days with the weather wars, the bioengineering, the level of disaster and stress and collapse and fear is, I mean, they're throwing everything at us now. I mean, it's just like a free-for-all. And it is. We have to come together because we need shelter from the storm. It may be artificial snow and artificial weather, but it's still quite a big storm out there.
Oh, it is. They're throwing everything they can. They're trying to get people angry, and people are reacting angrily, and it's quite understandable that people are. I mean, I'm angry. I get angry, very angry at what they're doing, but I just channel it into calm response. I don't channel it into violence. I think violence is counterproductive. I think people are too willing to protest when what they should do is contest. I'll contest anything. I'll contest their jurisdiction. I won't protest their jurisdiction. I'll contest it. I don't believe that you have jurisdiction because I believe I'm too egregious. If you can explain to me that I'm not, then we can move forward. And this is a very logical thing to me, to approach it this way. And I think that's the way people should do it. But they don't know themselves well enough to do it. And as far as things have been getting negative and all the stuff they're doing and the psychopathic controllers that we have, frankly, I think it's all necessary. I think it's necessary for this evil to be in the world, because without that evil, we would not have the choices to either be evil or to be good. We wouldn't have the choices for self-discovery that are provided to us by having this evil in the world. We wouldn't have the choice to do the right thing. If everything was just good and right, you would never have the choice to go wrong and the choice to go right, the choice to grow or the choice to give in. You would not be presented with these things, so there would be no growth in the human experience. You'd never really discover yourself if you didn't have the opportunity to go wrong. So there's a purpose for all of it, and it has provided us with this opportunity for self-discovery that we now have, for rediscovery that we now have. If it wasn't for all of this negativity, we would not have this opportunity, which is being presented to us now on a silver platter. This is how consciousness works. And when you can understand that we are all connected, and that the reason people do what they do is because mostly they haven't been given an even playing field. and that even the psychopaths are connected to even the most righteous of people. We all do come from a single source. We can see how consciousness itself is playing this game out. But it's up to us individually to make the choice as to which way we choose to go. That's what this time is. And we've been offered this choice. And many people are seeing it now. Many people are seeing that there is a better way. It's just an idea. We don't have to do any of this stuff. And they're beginning to make the right choices in life. So there is a purpose to it all, Sienna. There really is. There's a purpose for this evil to happen. Everything is exactly the way it should be. This is how we woke up. This is how we became all that we could be. And we're in the process of doing that now. But even with saying that again, there's a danger that people lapse into complacency by even saying that and suggesting that it's all as it should be, because many people think, well, that means I don't have to participate. But you do. If you're aware of this information and you're listening to this show and you're aware of these things, you are required to participate. That's why you're here. That's why you chose to come here at this particular time and to be part of this movement and to be part of this awakening and remember. So it is important that people do get involved, but to get involved in the right way and to lead by example. That's all anybody really has to do, is to know themselves, know what the people are around them, change the way they interact with people, and to be a shining light in their own community. Lead by example in all that they do. If they do that, we can change the world. That's how it works. That's how it happens. Even by that, we can create enough ripples eventually that even the pilots that are flying the geoengineering planes, even the people that are putting the fuel additives in there, these are all people that are part of communities somewhere. It'll all ripple out. Even these people will become involved, and things will simply change by default. The psychopaths that run the world, they only are able to get away with it because we comply, because we live in disunited communities. So there's the solution right there. So it's got to be grassroots. We can still take action where we do, and it's great that there are all these action groups that do take public stands and lead people down the path to knowledge of all of these things. But ultimately, the real change will come from the hearts of the people when they're prepared to change themselves and apply to the world they live in. That's where the real change will come from.
And when you talk about this, it's so refreshing to hear you talk with such a loving heart and compassion for everyone, because this is the key to the whole thing. Compassion for our oppressors, compassion for the slave drivers, compassion for all the people who are in the system that have bought into it, that didn't see another way out, that as angry as we are, and we all are incredibly frustrated and incredibly tormented and angry by this level of oppression and assault and war upon us, it's an exceedingly challenging moment. But if we can rise above and actually find the inner strength to not judge anyone, ourselves, for all the places we've fallen and been complicit and been lazy and hit our head in the sand and bought into it just so they leave us alone, and just all the myriad traps, and for these people that have created such cruelty, for ourselves when we do that, to love it all to death, to love it all into transformation is the key. And it's a radical thing, because a lot of the truthers are very, very angry, and they are beating the drum for a revolution that really would inevitably have to be violent based on the energy that they're putting out. They're screaming, they're angry, they're not demonstrating an illuminated heart. As you are, Max, I feel you really manifest that energy in your words, in your presentation, and in what you're living. And we need that modeling again, because where is it? We've never seen that before. I mean, usually, we see the New Age movement turn the other cheek and pretend it's happening and don't look at the negative, because you'll become that negative if you don't focus on it, don't concentrate on it, go meditate, and just allow all of this horrific atrocities against life to continue. Or the people that are going, fight back, get angry, stand on the rooftops, go up against it, shoot it down, kill it, destroy it. And I know there is a place for violence, Max. I know sometimes we have to be violent. But the idea that we can love it all to death is quite a warrior's dance to pull it off. because you have to really be in charge of your own shadow to do that.
Well, yeah, but imagine if all the people with that New Age understanding merged with all the people with that revolutionary understanding, and they merged their two perspectives together. Then you've got someone with a high spiritual understanding of warrior spirit, and that's what you need. You know, you need a merging of these cultures, not this division. You know, there's truth in both perspectives, but you can't judge. But it's difficult. When I get drawn into arguments with people, I mean, even on this show, I've been very, very attacked by Zionists on the show. You know, absolute Zionist sociopaths. But again, you can't judge them for being a Zionist sociopath because they're trained to be a Zionist sociopath. A lot of our society is trained people to be sociopathic, even if they're not Zionists. I mean, the whole lot is designed to nurture this in people, and it's easy to get drawn into arguments, and I do it as much as anybody else. But you can still do this stuff without real judgment. You know, see things for what they are, but realize that it's all about promoting the conflict. All of these arguments about promoting the conflict. So you've got to put it away. You've got to put it aside, and it is very, very difficult. I mean, I know I get drawn into it as well. So you know, people have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
Especially in this work. I mean, I get lots of threats, I get lots of attacks, lots of personal attacks, and all sorts of stuff. So it does.
You do?
It does. Oh yeah, of course. It comes with the territory. I get a lot of people attacking me and sending me death threats and all sorts of things. You know? So it just comes with the territory. But you just got to rise above it. They're doing something that's programmed, and you can't really judge them for it. But it's just the way it is. But you know, if we can be a shining light in our community and lead by example with the people in our own immediate circles around us, you'll find that they'll start reflecting that, and they'll do it in the circle around them, and then it starts to grow in the community, you know, and this is how we change things. But still, you got to make a noise about stuff, you know, when you see, you see your government doing something wrong, you've got to write to them, you've got to get involved, you've got to maybe do some public speaking, you've got to help people understand what's going on, do what you can, but don't promote violence and don't promote disrespect. Promote the concept of sui generis. Promote the concept of rediscovery of the self, because that's really the way out of the whole thing, you know. But you can apply it to the political world. You can apply a New Age understanding to the political world, and you can apply a violent revolutionary perspective to a New Age perspective and merge them together and apply both of them to the political world, and you can achieve incredible things. And I've kind of got both of those perspectives. I've been a revolutionary my whole life, and I've been a spiritualist my whole life. But I'm not afraid to meet things head on, and I simply will not back down to authority, because authority is a mean. It's a fiction. It's just an idea that somebody else wanted us to have. I don't think anybody has any authority over anybody else, and integrity has no need of rules. And that's really the way I think people should live their lives. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a big thing. It's a big thing, and we do get drawn into stuff. But, you know, it's all growth. It's all necessary. It's all the way we learn. It's all the way we learn about ourselves. Every time we get drawn into a fight, you learn a little bit more about yourself. Every time you get drawn into an argument. So there's benefit in the whole thing, really. And, it's a good time to be alive. I think it is. I think we're going to have wonderful results in the next few years from this grand awakening, this grand remembering that's happening, as long as people continue to get involved the way they are now.
Yeah, beautifully said. There's the thing about integrity and self-respect, you know, really at the end of the day, we've lost all respect for ourselves because we've gone along with a system that is so anti-life, is so destructive and cruel. And we're turned the other way and sedate ourselves with our television and our cell phones and McDonald's and...
Yeah, it's a program. We're trained to judge ourselves by fictional parameters. We judge ourselves by what we've got, by the rungs we've attained on the social ladder, or what we look like, or what our girlfriend or boyfriend looks like, or how we're judged by our peers, you know. We don't ever realize that we have no peers. We're sui generis. We're in this completely as a unique expression of creation, and the only people who really know us is us. And we're here to express the art of our lives. We miss out on all that. And so, of course, we're in a messed up society. Of course we have depression. Of course we have all these problems because people don't know who they are because they're squashed into a box and they're pushed away from the art of the experience itself. That is the problem. I mean, it's very difficult for us to have any type of society other than what we've got, because this is an obvious result of this sort of action that's been taken against human consciousness. This sort of a box that we've been pushed into, and the artificial parameters we're given by which to judge ourselves and other people. So yeah, we've got to wake up to it, and I mean we are. People are seeing this now, but that's really the problem. You know what I mean? It's somebody else's idea of what we should be, and we don't fit in with this idea. You know, we get given this TV version of reality. We're this way, and we've got to have this amount of friends. We've all got to do this, and we grow up and we have 2.4 kids in a house with a white picket fence and an RUV or whatever, SUV. You know, so it's ridiculous. We all got to grow up to be the Brady Bunch or something, you know? And life isn't like that. So we get depressed. And the exaltation of youth as well. As soon as we get to 30, we think, oh my God, I'm old. I missed out on the whole thing. Now I'm just going to get wrinkles and it's all over for me. You know, it's incredible what's been done to human consciousness. It really is all completely artificial parameters. And that's what we've got.
It is incredible.
It is, and this is the society you get. I mean, it's a natural result. Of course, this is the sort of society you're going to get. So people have to stop judging themselves by somebody else's parameters and get on with themselves. Remember themselves. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And one does build self-respect by taking action that is in support of life and becoming proactive and not just sitting in front of the TV, and not just, as hard as it is, to push through that with our own will and manifest our own truth, does build a sense of yourself that you can be proud of.
Well, it does.
Max, we're almost out of time. I'd like you to tell us again how we can support you, how we can, and really go see this man's website. It's a vast library of information on awakening in so many different aspects. Beautifully done. He's on David Icke's television channel. He's got amazing, I think you do that every week, and they're just exquisite. The slideshows along with the dialogue. It's exceedingly healing. It's all being offered for free. Go enjoy it and donate. Tell them the website again, Matt, please.
My website, my personal website is crowhouse.com. If you want to be involved in the Full Circle project, then the website is fullcirclenow.net. There's a link to that from the Crow House. You can go there, you can sign up for the forums, you can sign up for the mailing list, and I'll let you know when the project is launched properly. And anybody who can help and contribute to the project or the website, it's always greatly appreciated. But even if you can't, all the information's there. It's all free. Share it with the people you know, because if we all do get involved in this, we can change the world. So let's get on with it, I think. And
there's so few people that have amassed a body of work that's as balanced as yours is, and as truthful. I mean, you don't leave any stone unturned. It's all on the table. And so it's a great modeling exercise because, again, I can't really state this enough. We need these examples. We need some modern-day heroes that are saying, you could do it. You can step up. You can make a difference. And you all can, each and every one of you. Good night, everyone. Big love to all of you. This is Sienna Leah with Max Igan on Truth Frequency Radio Network, illuminating the Shadowlands. See you next week.